Hello YouTube. Right. I'm doing another video because I've got some more Von Ryan's Leapers. I don't want to do another live stream because I've already put them together on a live stream before and painted them on a live stream before. I did try to put these together on this video, but I forgot to hit the record button. So I've managed to get to this stage, which is all put together and primed before I started recording it again. I've done the base dry brush as I usually would on two of them already. I'm just going to do the third one now for the video so you can see how we do it. It's a simple method. I mean, so simple that I use it. It can't be difficult if I'm using it. A little bit of white, light, ivory, whatever lighter colour you're using to dry brush. Pick a direction. Make sure there's next to no paint on the brush itself. And lightly go over it. And that way it brings out the detail in each part. It's all black on that side, and then you can see little bits of where it's all coming down and round. And you get to actually see the detail parts that you'll need to paint later. Oh, hopefully I will be painting these in this video and basing them in this video. That's my idea. Get it all done, all dusted. How quickly can I do it, and can I do it in one foul swoop? Every time I've tried this in the past, it's usually failed miserably, but we'll try it again. Now, I will be using my own custom colour scheme instead of this one that comes with the magazine that I bought these with. I'll also be going into the magazine in a little minute as well, just while I let this dry properly and make sure that I'm not going to end up running my contrast paint through any wet paints, even though this is technically a dry brush and it should dry pretty quickly, damn near instantly in fact, but it's better to be safe than sorry. Go over all of it. Now, you do cover the entire model with this because we want to bring out every little bit of detail, even if it's going to be eventually be in the shade or in shadow while we're painting it. It just means that it's got to be a little bit darker down there. We definitely want to get all the higher areas and everywhere the light is going to hit all nice and bright. Oh, also, don't want to drop your model. That's not a good idea. Don't drop your model. I mean, anyone who's doing this has probably dropped most of the models at least once. And if you're just starting, you will drop your models at least once. So that's a dry brushed and set up Von Ryan's Leaper. Just going to go back over a couple of these just to see if I can help those edges a little bit more. Some of them do seem a little bit flatter than they should do. More back to the standard grey that they were when you put them together. So that's 3 Von Ryan's Leapers, which are there. As I said, what I've done is I've gone out and bought a Combat Patrol magazine. Now this is by Hachette Partworks. It's not sponsored in any way, shape or form, but if you want to reach out to me, I will quite happily collect one of these again. Now this is issue 2. I missed issue 1. I wasn't aware it was available at the time. Clocked issue 2 in my local newsagents. I thought, well, I need 3 more Von Ryan's Leapers. I'll have that because it's nice and cheap compared to what they are. Now they are going to be doing a lot in this set. Just so I can show you. That's all the models that'll be going in the set. So far I've got 1, 2, 3. That's it. All of this will be coming out in weekly editions, which is always fun for me to go into my shop and find a nice new magazine with nice new models. So now that we've put them together, I'm going to go through, as I said, through my colour scheme, which is 3 speed paints and then another dry brush. So it's not a particularly complicated speed colour scheme. Here's one that I did earlier from the last set. So I'm going to be doing the same with these 3. So it's purple down the chitin armour, any flesh parts are going to be yellow, and if it's supposed to be a weapon, it's going to be green. If he's going to hurt you, it's going to be green. So simple. So let's get started. Now, I'm using a very unorthodox paint palette for this because I can't seem to find my normal little dropper palette, nor can I find any of those little popping things, you know, the fake push pop or bubble wrap, the pretend bubble wrap that kids have now that you can push in and push out. I can't seem to find any of them either, so I'm going to be using a plastic phone case that's spare. A little bit of my purple. Start with that just to get the armour done. Brush. And with speed paints it's always just easy because it's all in the name, essentially. They are called speed paints for a reason. Now this is going to be very, very dark until I get that second dry brush on there. Always is. So don't worry if it's not the exact colour you're thinking, like, well, that's not the same purple used there. This is the exact same purple. There is a method to my madness, and there is a reason why I do a second dry brush. And that's to bring this colour, or all the colours, out. Now, some people might call this a painting tutorial. I just call this is how I do it. If you want to copy it, go ahead. But it doesn't always work as a painting tutorial. I don't think I'm good enough to teach people how to paint, and people have different methods of doing it. So if you want to try a different method, go right ahead. But using the speed paints is quite literally, as it says, speedy. Now again, it's not sponsored by the Army Painter speed paints either. I just happen to be using those because I like the effect that they give on the Tyranids. I wouldn't mind using something similar. I could get a nice black or a nice shiny black or shiny grey. I would have been tempted to go for kind of a xenomorph colour scheme, more of a black all over. But I couldn't find a colour that I was happy with to do that. So I've gone with this one. Right. I've kept this one on my desk just so I can make sure I get everything, all the things right. So the tops are purple, the back's purple, and the tops of those bits are purple as well. Okay. So it does help if you actually remember the bits that you did last time. And you would think, well, isn't it easy? It should be. But I don't think I make anything easy. Particularly not on myself. So it's always good to have a reference if you need one. To do it, initially I just got a paintbrush, got the 3 colours and just drew in the basic lines where I think they would go from an infantry unit or a model that I was familiar enough with to be able to go, and there's his head, there's his body. That's how I chose the colour scheme. And then when I actually got round to it and got my Tyranids, I found it worked better than I thought it would, because it is a bit of an odd colour scheme having yellow, green and purple. Initially I didn't think it was going to work, or at least not to the degree that it has. If you would like to see the other models I've painted, please check out the Instagram just down below. The link is in the description of the channel. So just going over, making sure you get a full coverage on everything that you need. Try not to miss any spots, because once you've gone back with this, and it is the Army Painter 1.0, it's the original speed paint, so they do have that activation issue that some people didn't like. I love for doing these. It is a brilliant feature for that paint, because the reactivation stops me having to highlight with a similar purple tone and merges quite well with the ivory or the white that I will go over it with again afterwards. Reactivates with that and kind of blends itself, which is nice. I like to try and get as much as I can done with the minimum amount of effort required. if I can. I don't really want to spend hours and hours and hours on one model when I've got 300 or 400 models to paint. So speed and efficiency is always good. So in this case we'll go with him. Purple on the tail there, and that should be the last bit of purple, I believe. Just finishing off. No, it's not the last bit of purple because I've got the crest down his head. There's some more that I forgot about. So we're just going to quickly cover that. And then we'll start the purple on the next one. And move through all three. Hopefully I can get all these done very quickly. Now I know I've been going for 10 minutes already and I've been waffling a lot. I'll try to keep the waffling down to a minimum. But I do have to do some talking, otherwise there'll be no point in doing a video. So there's one done with the purple. We'll go back through for the second one. And the other reason why I'm going to do all three without speeding it up or cutting bits out is, if you are new to this hobby, there's a certain part of it that a lot of people gloss over, and it's drying time. Most of this painting section and the painting part and the modelling part, you will be spending a lot of time waiting for things to dry. And it is one of the most tedious parts, but it gets glossed over and it doesn't get covered enough. So new people coming in might see some people painting it and not realise that they've had to sit it aside for a bit and let it dry. And then leave it there for 20 minutes, half an hour, depending on what it is you're doing. So that's top of his things done there. Now this one must be the leader because he's got the big crest. A very big blade crest up his head. Which that one doesn't, so it means that I've not pulled. It means the other one's still stuck in the box somewhere. Not that it matters too much. You'll see what the finished product, or my finished model, looks like in a moment. Make sure you get in behind everywhere that you need to, especially all the shaded areas where you want colour to show through. Even though we're not necessarily going to be dry brushing all the shaded areas, so the colour won't be as bright and vibrant as it is on other sections of the model, you still want it to show through at certain points. So like in there, for instance, which will be behind shadow, right behind his arm, I still want it to show purple. But it's not going to be as bright purple as on top of this section here, which is going to be the highest section. So therefore it'll be getting the light, a lot more of the light. And just to reiterate, using whatever you're using, I'm using speed paints because it's quicker. But if you used to do this using what I believe is called the traditional method, using your layer paints and your base paints, it's pretty much the same stages, except for when I dry brush, you would then be adding your lighter shades and your mixed shades to come through and highlight those edge layers along the tops. So painting the purple. Did I actually put enough purple on the palette? I hope so. This is quite a fair bit. I forgot how much these were covered in armour. Granted, they have got a lot more fleshy tones on them than some of the others, but they still have a lot of armour. Or a lot of armoured plates. having your paints ready as well is also a good idea. Unlike me, when I first decided to record this, didn't hit the record button. I'd also forgotten to pull out all my paints. Maybe it was fated. I don't know. But we're here now. And we're just going to call everything that happened in the past a happy little accident. Now, here's for the difficult bit. We've got to try and get in behind his arm. And it's not going to be easy. Really not going to be easy. It's possible though. Just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's impossible. So we're going to definitely give that a good going over. See if we can actually get in underneath. There. You can see it's nice and shiny, so we can see that's actually where it is. It's not too bad. It's also an easier way of telling which parts you've just painted while they're still wet. Once it's all dry, it sometimes becomes a little bit more difficult to go back and spot bits that you've missed. So we want to avoid that as much as we can. Make sure we get everything. So knowing that there's a double set on his legs, one on top of his thighs and one on top of his shins. Make sure we get in on those. And then we'll come back and do the ones on top of his arms as well. At the end of his scythe. Talon. I was going to say arms, but he's got 4 arms. Which ones are his actual arms, I'm not sure. So the smaller talons there. We'll make sure we get along the back of those as well. Just give the paintbrush a little bit of a wash off. Try and keep your paintbrush clean and in a nice sharp condition if you can. Where are we at? We're at High Colour Purple again. Always give your paint a shake. I know I've been shaking it already. I've already given it a shake before I put any on, but I'll give it another shake just to make sure. And then back we come. I'm not sure. I'm using a size 0 brush, but it's quite a long bristled brush, this one. So you could possibly get away with a slightly larger brush, or if you've got a smaller 0 or a decent size 1, should do you for most of the entire paint job. If not, then as I'm using, these are the Works specials. They are not they're not expensive brushes, but they work. No pun intended from the shop that I bought them from. Just make sure we catch all the other areas. We don't need to come back and cover some. And that just leaves his tail. Now I know I said I paint these sharp spiky things and the things that are going to hurt you green. I imagine that these use the tails more for their infiltration and maneuverability. So kind of like a monkey's tail, they dig it in somewhere so they can climb and hide and things like that. Not as a weapon. These are the weapons, the big sharp spiky things that they're going to go thunk into you with. That's 2. And number 3. And just enough paint on your brush to go over what you need. You don't want to overload your brush too much, because even though it's speed paint and it is a lot thinner than normal paint, it will still clog up. And it doesn't look right if you put big, thick, glopping layers on it. Even though they say you're supposed to put just one coat, done. Yeah, well, you still need to be careful with it. If you put one stupidly big, thick coat on, then It's not done. You've got to take that stupid big thick coat off again and then start again. Or at least I did. And if anyone was wondering, how did you manage to mess that up? Well, just go back and watch any of my other live streams. You'll figure out how I've managed to mess most things up. Even the most simple, basic things. I am capable of naffing up. Even as something as simple as camera positioning, which took longer than you would expect it to do just to get it to stay in that position. Did I go down his back? Yes, I did. In fact, I think I did his back. That one back first, didn't I? But you can see, this is the part I was on about. Looking at him, I've just realised I've missed that entire sort of shoulder section down into there. Luckily, I've not put any yellow on his head, because going back in now with yellow in there as well, that would be horrible and they would be mixing. And that is something I don't want to do. Certainly don't want them to mix. So let's just double check now that we've actually got it right. I believe we've got it this time. Pardon me. So let's go back and get all his armour done. Now, if you're used to playing Warhammer, most things wear armour or have armour growing on them. So it's a phrase you will use or have to do a lot is paint armour. Whether it be the natural kind or the synthetic purpose-built bodysuit kind. I think I may have caught some extra bit of his head there, so I might have to clean that up in a moment. I'll have a look once I finish this. I don't want paint drying on my brush. It's a pain to clean off, especially when you're partway through using it. And just keep going and covering all those areas. Now, I know I'm repeating myself, so there's not much you can do when you are physically repeating the process. You repeat yourself while you're repeating your process. Where have I missed now? Where have I missed? Am I down to his legs? I am. So I'm on for his legs now. Unless I did pick up on Thursday. Well, fingers crossed I can get these all painted, all done up, all recorded, all edited, and I can get the video out for Friday. If not, then please put in the comments that I took too long. After you've hit that like and subscribe, of course. I think it's obligatory that I have to say that as part of a recorded YouTube video. Please like and subscribe. It's entirely your choice, really, if you want to like and subscribe. I'm not going to force you. I can't force you, to be quite honest. And I wouldn't want to even if I could, because that's not nice. Don't like forcing people to do things. Nobody likes to be that dick, do they? So I'll just get into there. Now also on this one I've got something on his base, which is down here, which has also got a bit of that armour on the back of it. And I should have another one that has something on its base. Now hopefully you've dried enough for me to be able to get hold of you. And really I should be using a painting handle for these, but I have one painting handle and 3 models to paint. And if anyone can do math, that doesn't work out very well. I'm still going to have to handle the models to do it. So I'm just going to leave the painted handle alone for now. And there's all the purple done. So let's work on yellow. It's the next option. Nice skin colour, nice skin tone. And we're going to go do all the yellow bits while I've still got some yellow left. I don't know, it looks very, very red, doesn't it? Very red. But trust me, it is yellow. Well, I hope it is. It says so on the bottle there. And it was last time I used it. So unless somebody's been playing around with my paints and swapped them all over on me, this should still be yellow. Yes, it is. It's still yellow. Good. Where on here did I... So it's all down the back of his arm. But I keep the front green. So all this is yellow. All down the back here is yellow. And all on the underside here is yellow. It's nice and easy for this arm. Just drop that in there. And paint that through. Pull the paint across. Nice and easy with speed paints because they are a little bit thinner, so they run a lot easier, which is both a good thing and a bad thing, as I found out when I spilt the green all over my desk and saturated my mouse mat, my jeans and everything else. That was within a 3-foot radius of the pot lid as it flew off. And make sure we got everything that needs to be done yellow as we're going through. There'll be several areas that I have to go over, so I'm going to try and grab them all at the same time, if I can. So yeah, his face, most of the little tendrils coming down out of him. Now the end of them will be green because they do actually have little spikes on the end of them ones, so they will be green. But all down there in his rib cage, all through the side of his face there. Now you can take a lot more care with this if you was doing it. In fact, if you're doing it for practice, I definitely say take more care with it than what I am right now. I'm actually a little bit cocky because I've already painted 3 and I think, I can do this again. So the chances are I'm probably going to make a big mistake, completely ruin the entire thing, and then there'll be a learning curve for everybody. This is why you don't rush. I wouldn't say I'm actually rushing, I'm just going slightly quicker than I did last time because of familiarity of using the colours and doing the models themselves. Like once you've painted your 70th Space Marine, you're kind of used to it by that point. So you know where to put everything, and that goes there, and you can go through it fairly quickly. So your first one, you take your time, you make sure your colours are going in the right place, you know which colours go where. And in this case, this is my, how many Tyranids have I got now? Somewhere in the region of about 60 or 70 Tyranids. So it's certainly not the first time I've had to use this colour set. I've had to use my bigger and smaller models than this, so I'm definitely used to it. I'm painting 2 a non-emissary and a non-assimilator along with the Leviathan box set and a Neurotyrant. Not a Neurotyrant, a Neurolictor. that were bought separately. It gave me plenty of practice for when it came around to doing these 3. Again, all those models that I've painted are up on my Instagram, as well as the live stream where I was painting them. They're all on my channel. So if you're wondering, well, how did he do it? What's that one he did? Please go back, have a look through. My live streams are called Models and Musings, because I usually sit there and talk a complete load of troll while I'm there. Or I have some guests up with me who also sit there and just chat. Essentially, we talk. We have conversations. We talk about the hobby. We talk about various other things as well. Music, movies, sorting the world to rights. The usual things that friends do when they sit and get around talking to each other. So, one more arm to go, and I believe he is skinned up. Let's move on to the final one, and then we're on for the green. Then it's just a bit of drying time, a dry brush, a bit of PVA glue, and we can base it as well. Get the entire model done in one sitting. That's the plan. That's the plan. I think I'll be able to manage it. One sitting, single recording. Let's find out. Yes, if it's your first time coming to see me, I don't like editing. I'm not very good at it. I do need a lot more practice. So I'd try and record it within one sitting if I can. If I can't, then I kind of panic a little bit and think, what am I going to do now? If you go back and look at my other edited video, you'll find out the sound is out. I think it's out by 0.7 seconds, so it's really frustrating. And this is why you don't want to have to go back over it afterwards. At the moment I've got yellow wet paint, and I'm going to be trying to put wet purple paint down behind it. There we go. I think I managed it without smudging any. So there's yellow skin done, number 1. Is it number 1? Yeah, yellow skin number 1. And it was the guy with the big horn as well. Ooh. I started with the leader completely by accident. So I'm going to shut up for a minute and actually try and do this one at some degree of pace and speed. Hopefully without making mistakes. I did say a minute, but not permanently. It's a matter of seconds more than likely, but for me that's good. I shut up for more than 30 seconds. Miracles do happen. There we go, most of his torso there. Go down into his crotch. Finish off the underside of his tail. And that is pretty much that entire half of him done. Now, I am not a pro painter by any stretch of the imagination, so please don't take everything I do as a, oh well, that must be the way you do it. No. as I've said, this is how I do it. If you want to copy me, fine. If you want to pick me apart, fine. Because everyone paints differently. And then people have their own techniques and their own ways and some things that they can and can't do. It's a great thing about this hobby. It's so accepting and so forgiving. Unless you're a Tau player. And then, well, everybody dislikes you. Because you're a gun line and you can't do close combat. Wusses come out and fight like real orcs. Did I miss that, or is that just the light? See, this is the problem now. I'm coming to see it. I don't know where the purple's dried properly and just left it light, or I've missed. And down there I know I've missed, but across there I'm not sure if I've just left it light. So I'm going to have to come back again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Every time that I spot somewhere that I miss, you're going to have to go back, redo. Make sure that you've got it, and you've got it covered. I'll wash the brush up again. Remove any excess water. Back to the purple, just to come back to him and go, right, did I miss all that section? And going off the way the paint's going on and how it's looking, yes, I did. I missed that entire section. See? Not the end of the world. I can always... But certainly a good idea to pick up early rather than later. You don't want to leave it till the last thing and dry brush it and find out everything's gone. And you've just dry brushed over what is essentially grey. It won't work. And it does not work that well. So let's carry on with yellow, because we've still got this side of this arm to do, and a bit in here. Go through checking all the model as thoroughly as we can. Pressed on for number 2. Now yellow for number 3. Now yellow for number 3. I've spotted a big clump there on the back of his head that needed spacing out. Let's just do that first. There we go. Now we can start number 3. Come around his face, do the back of his head. Right, down into his face and his tendrils. Tendrils. I didn't say whatever you thought I said. Some bits are a little bit more awkward than others to get to. Those bits you do have to take your time with. He says. Not slowing down at all. It's not a speed race, really. You don't want to be rushing these things. I mean, if it was so inclined, I'd come back in and repaint. There's a small section of his chest there that could be the armour, or could be a layer of chitin, but I've just kept it as his standard body. I really want all the drawing of the attention to be up here and to the pointy, sharp bits. That's where I want everyone to be looking. I don't want everyone to be looking at this little tiny bit of thing in his chest. And that was way too much paint. I'll find somewhere on there to fit green yet, so that's going to be fun. I might have to use something else for green. Let's hope I have something to hand. That would be nice. Something quick and simple I can just pick up and go, there we go, new palette, green. And inside of his leg there does not look like it's going to be a fun place to get to. So let's try that one. And paint over his leg. Bear with me one moment. So right back into his leg there. Oh, I hope it's gonna go alright. Seems to be going okay. Got his arms, got his legs. I've got a cat whinging for food in the background. Ding 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 ding. Well, I've got a feeling, yep. Down there I've forgotten, and there I've forgotten. I've missed that bit there as well. And coming up on there. So going over, making sure I get the bits that I missed or forgotten about. And then ta-da. That's 3 of them done purpled and yellowed. So that leaves green, just the green. Now where's my green gone? There it is. I do apologise for the state of my desk at the moment. I'm halfway through about 6 projects. I'm always halfway through about 6 projects, but these ones are actually getting worked on, so they're out and in the open. Ranging from little goblins to ruins. I don't want the green to go everywhere again, because this is the one that the top splodged off and covered me, so I'm extra careful with that one from now on. And now we wish to hoof it. And claws. And bigger claws. And all the way up there. That entire section gets done. You see what I mean by if you put it on too thick, it does clump. So I'm going to have to make sure I spread that out over the rest of that area, which luckily is all the way through the inside. So one brush, one take, 3 models. If I can do this, I've impressed myself. If I can't do this, then I realise I've got a lot more work to do. But at least we all learn together, eh? It's a nice learning curve for us all. hate painting little tiny bits like that because they're really, really sensitive to when you get the brush past the edge. It's got a habit of flicking. So we want to avoid that because we don't want the paint to go in other sections of the model. We want to try and keep it in the parts, obviously the bits that we want the colour to be in. We do have to come back now, and because I do want all the little spiky bits to be green, come back and try and catch them all. That one there on the back of his heel, and then catch his hoof down there, back of his heel, bottom of his elbow, bottom of his elbow. Where else has got this big one here? Needs to do that one. I just put my finger in wet paint. I have. I'm a clever person sometimes, aren't I? Bring it up to the edge there, and then up the end of his actual claw itself to also be green. Okay, so let's just do a quick comparison just to make sure we've got pretty much all the right areas done. Now you see now that section there should be all the way down to there. Okay, so I've done last time, so all the way down into that bit and the end of that. Pop you down there, mate, and we'll go on to number 2. So this is so far an hour-long video, I'm guessing. At least an hour long to paint 3 models. As I said, I'm not doing editing on this, so you are getting the full process as I go through it. So if you was expected to do this yourself, this is real time and you can go along with it. Again, I don't like tricks and things that kind of give you an unreal expectation on how long something should take. Obviously, looking back at it when I'm going through it, I'm aware that it takes bloody ages for everything to dry. So when I watch tutorials, I take that into account. Even though I've just sat and watched a 45-minute video, a lot of it's been cut out, a lot of it's been edited, a lot of it's been changed to get it to fit within that time frame. I'm not a fan of doing that, so you can paint along with me if you so desire. You're thinking, how many different ways can he say one thing? So I have no idea, but you'll find out if you try and count them each time. I just let the words come out of my mouth, and then, well, it's a bit late after that. So it's the 2 spikes there, the one on his elbow. And you see that yellow bit hasn't dried properly, so I'm going to have to come back in and do that bit as well. So not all of it's gone smoothly, but it's not gone bad. It's not gone bad. I'm going to finish up with the green before I go back in with the yellow, because it is just his chest area so far that I've spotted, so it's not difficult to go back and cover that bit. Whereas I really don't want to be mixing the green and the yellow up too much, because it will change the hue of the green quite a lot, with yellow being one of the prime colours of green. Very basic colour theory. How do you make green? Well, you add yellow and you add blue. The more yellow you add, the brighter it gets. And the more yellowy, obviously. The more blue you add, the darker it gets. And not as yellowy. Like that bit actually needed saying, but yeah, you get what I mean. I hope you get what I mean. If you don't, ask me in the comments and I'll try to explain it. Okay. So numero 2. Dos, however you wish to say the number 2. Like I said, I'm going back to that once I've done all the green, so I'm going to get the green done on all 3 of them first before I go back and cover that bit of yellow. I don't think it'll be too bad, and I need to give stuff around it a bit of a chance to dry so I'm not mixing the stuff through. Like, I'm so glad this purple's dry, because otherwise I'll be getting a really bad mix of green and purple in there at the end of that one. And green and purple don't mix well. They go next to each other just fine, but they don't mix very well at all. Now again, there's a lot of faux pas that I'm making here while painting. For instance, I've not got my hands steady. I'm not resting them on anything because things are in my way, mainly. Ideally what you want to be doing is have somewhere nice and stable to be resting everything. So that when you are painting, it's not wiggling about everywhere, like it has been doing for me for the last hour. Now, this wasn't my original intention for the video. The original intention was to make it shorter and make it a bit more like the videos that I said I don't particularly want to make. But a happy accident has resorted to me to having to do it the way I would prefer. So, yay, that's good. As far as I can tell, that's good. So, we'll continue in that vein of just do it the way I wanted to, or the way I would prefer to in the first place. That's another bit of yellow there that I've missed, but that's in shade. I'm not too bothered about that. Catch the 2 spiky bits that are coming out of coming off the front of his front 2 tendrils. Get his hoof. Did I do the other guy's hoofs? Yes, I did. I had a brief second there where I thought I forgot them then, didn't I? Apparently not. Apparently I got them, which is good. And his dew claws. Are they dew claws? Okay, let me know down in the comment anything that I've messed up the saying on, pronunciation on, the actual positioning and correct names of, if I've messed any of those up. And there we have the green section is done. Give your paintbrush a damn good cleaning. And then where was that section of yellow that I missed? Oh, certainly looks like I've missed anyway. That could do with another going over in there, as could that. And certainly down and across there. So there we go. That's him done. I believe, was it this one? Where yes, it was this one. So we've got a big section of torso and tendrils. Going back over, make sure we get everywhere while the paints are still wet and we're still waiting for the model to dry. And third and finally for this fella, let's go back in over his chest again. That section really does seem to need a lot of care and attention. Doesn't seem to be taking the paint as well as some of the rest of it. Not sure why. I think I had this problem with them last time though as well, so it's not exactly surprising me. I've had issues similar to this before. And that's why we go back over and repaint it. Make sure we get it all nice and done. There we go. So now we've got a few minutes waiting time. Oh, we have a few minutes waiting time. Let's see what else we get with this. We get a magazine, of course. We've got a magazine. It's going to tell us all about the Tyranids, apparently. So, let's see. Does it actually tell us about von Ryan's Lepus? It started out in the Imperium. That's not a very good place to start if you want to find out about an alien race, is it? Okay, Defenders of Humanity. We don't want Defenders of Humanity. We are biomass-consuming organisms. So, Vanguard swarms. This is what we're reading. And Tyranid swarms fight using advanced strategies and tactics. Before assaulting a world in force, the hive mind will dispatch stealthy packs of hunters, killers to infiltrate a planet's defences. These vanguard organisms will I can't even talk anymore. Right, let's read it and then talk it back instead. So, they will ruthlessly work to gather vital intelligence while spreading fear and disarray, which is what these fellas are for. These are the infiltration style units. So these ones that get to forward deploy, get to be at your opponent quicker than all the rest of your army that has to stick behind a certain line. There are a few other types, gene stealers and neurolictors. I pointed to a shiny bot there. Neurolictors, which, as if you've been paying attention and been watching me in the past, you will have spotted before. I have done one of those. And of course, the von Ryan's Lepus. Pretty much a similar thing. Very slender, very stealthy, like to jump in there. So the gene stealers as well, which cover a similar role. Let's see, you get a fair bit of information. It actually gives you more information about the actual... So, information about the gene steal unit itself, what they're actually made for and how they come across them. Usually you get them in what's called space hulks. Big mashed up fleets of ships in one big asteroid-like thing. And within the decks and swarm within the bowels of that, you'll find gene stealers. You also have the light infantry, which is termagants, as well as guns, and harmagants, which are the little... can I get a shot in? Yeah, there we go. Little boundy ones with claws instead. Now, I don't have any harmagants, but I do have termagants. And then it gets into what the von Ryan's Lepus actually do, including a data sheet for them. So, there we go. We have infiltrators, we have stealth, and we have fight first. So they are very, very quick. Very, very quick. See, they move 10 inches across the floor. Across the board. Across the floor. That's how old I am and how long I've been playing. I played floor hammer. I didn't have a table. I had to play on the floor. So yeah, they move 10 inches. Quite tough. 3 wounds. Difficult to take out if you're just using anti-infantry fire. Hit with anything like an anti-tank gun and they're just going to pop. But they will survive anti-infantry fire quite well. What else do you tell us? So they walk us through a battle by the looks of it. Yeah, very, very basic on how to run through a battle using the miniatures that you should have collected so far. That's why they're using the Terminator Captain, which is the model you would have got if you got issue 1. You would have got one of those and a Winged Prime as well, which I did also have. Well, I do also have, I just don't use it. I'm just going to check something to see if it's usable. I don't particularly like waste if I can, and if that's there, I would like to use it. So at the moment we're just sat on drying time, so I am going to do a little bit of that pause and come back later, just because drying takes ages. I will stick a little timestamp to let you know how long I've been waiting. Well, okay then. I give it a bit of drying time. About 20 minutes in total it took. 20 minutes to get them to dry. But there they are. They are now dried. So, get your dry brush again, or in my case, I get my dry brush again. Make sure I get the majority of the paint off, and then we do another dry brush. And you see, as we go over the dry brush areas, it lightens up bits of the purple and the green and the yellow, just to bring out those slightly higher edges. But because it's the first grade of contrast paint, it also reactivates the paint underneath. So when it reactivates, rather than just giving it a white tint over the edges like we did when you dry brush it black, it reactivates the colour underneath, and you get a nice blended effect. It's really simple, but really effective. I like it. So we shall quickly go over and do these 3 with this technique, finishing it off this last little bit because it doesn't take long. This is a quick dry brush, and the difference it makes between dry brushing it and having it just flat colour is so much difference. So it's chalk and cheese. It's chalk and cheese. Now my ivory is a bit wet at the moment because it was running out. I had to add a bit more thinner into it just to get the last few eke the last bit of pigment out of it before I have to go buy another ivory. That'll be like the 3rd ivory I've been through since I've been doing this. It is my preferred go-to for a white paint. I don't like pure whites. They're very difficult to use, and if you mess up with them, it's not something nice, and you can mess up really big with white. So I'm going to stick with my ivory because it's more reliable. Well, for me it is anyway. I'm not quite good enough yet to be using pure white. Hopefully and eventually I will be. So the whole point of this channel is for me to get better and for you to all watch me along the way. Commenting, criticising, critiquing, complimenting. That's what the comment section's for. For all of that, or just generally asking me questions if you wish to. You know who you are. I don't need to say it. But I welcome questions, so ask away. Ask away. So that's 2. So, this bit is the quickest part of it. And once I've done this, we will get on to the gluing on the base. Running them through my homemade basing material. And then that's it. That's the models done. That'll be the models up to that stage. So 3 models from, I'll say black, because as you can see these dry brushing stages don't take next to no time at all. It's always nice to have it's always handy to have your hand nearby just to test out your dry brushing. Make sure you've got enough paint off. Get that in there. Come on, get in there. Make sure you can you get all the higher edges. And you don't have to worry too much about the undersides, because anywhere that's going to be naturally in shadow, the colour itself will still maintain that shadowed look. But anywhere that's going to catch the light, even if it's only a little bit, at the top of his thighs there, and so that's all you do, you're running it down over everywhere where light would come down. And you can go in a little bit further if you've got a small enough brush. Go in and do the eyes, come in and do the actual tiny, it's not even going to focus, it's that small. But there is a tiny section there where it's almost like splitting these little lines within it. So there's a lot more detail you can go into. But for a tabletop ready, put it on the battlefield. I'm going to face my opponent, you can see everything, and it's all looking like one nice uniformed little force. This is more than enough. Okay, so that's the painting part done. Now we need to find the PVA glue and move him out of the way, because I don't want to accidentally do something with him, because the PVA glue is hidden underneath here at the moment. I need a little stick for some kind of spudgy thing, so this will suffice for now. That'll do. Bit on the tip there, just a bit of glue on. Get your glue, smear it across all your base. Make sure you put enough on, does help. And I could have just put this straight on the base and then spread it around, but I decided to do it this way this time. Last time I just put it on the base and spread it, and I've got to admit it was actually easier. As I said, I don't always make things easy on myself, so once you've got the glue spread out nicely, or at least sufficiently for you anyway, and this is sufficiently for me, that's when you take your basing material, just pop your guy in, give it a bit of a shake to cover his base, shake to cover the excess off, wipe round, and ka-ching, we have one base. Oh no, see, I've missed a bit there. I'm going to put a bit of glue back on there, give him another bit of a shake into that bit, just to get it around there. There we go. Ka-ching. One von Ryan's Leaper done. So let's do the other two, then we can finish it off. There we go. That should be enough glue to cover all of that. I'm trying to avoid getting any glue on the actual model unless it's a base material, so if it's that bit I'm not too bothered about getting a bit of glue on there, but I certainly don't want to get any on his feet or his tail or the actual model itself. That's a lot of glue on there, so let's scrape some of that off a minute. Come on, you. Come on, out of there. Out of there. There's too much in there. Let's just pop it on his base for now, because he's going to be next anyway. Move it away from his foot as well, so he's not getting on his foot. Again, pop him in, bit of a shake round. Von Ryan Leaper number 2. And last but not least is this guy. So we've got one more base to do. It's quite open, this base, so it should be simple, he says. I don't think I've ever done anything that should be anything simple. It should be, but I don't think it's ever worked out that way. I think I've managed to make everything that I do harder than it should be. Oh, it's a damn sight a lot more difficult anyway. I do enjoy the results I get out of it though, because you do get different results from different techniques. So there we go. 3 Von Ryan's Leapers done in an hour and a half. One, two. Now, there is a small difference between these ones and the one that I've already pre-done, and that's I've painted around the base of the rim. That's an optional thing. You don't have to. If you don't want to, you can leave it black, or you can paint round. I'll be waiting until I get more Tyranids before I go around and do the brown paint around it. But for now, I'm going to be quite happy if I put those on the table alongside the others, to have 6 von Rheinleipers charging into my opponent's front lines on the first turn. So thank you very much for bearing with me this long if you've stayed for the entire length of the video. I will be resuming my normal live streams on a Monday. If you'd like to hit the like, subscribe, or leave a comment, please do. Please do. It does help with the algorithms. And happy painting and drive safe. See you later.